Hey guys, my name's David, and today I want to take you through my full bike packing setup. I've been working on this for a lot of years, and it's finally to the point where it's comfortable and I'm carrying all the stuff I need to carry. And I want to take you through every single item that I carry today and also how I assemble my bike. So to start off, the bike I ride is the Priority 600X. So this is a hardtail mountain bike. I like hardtail mountain bikes because they're good for off-road. They're good for single track, for really rocky terrain. A lot of people want to go bike packing on a gravel bike, and that's perfectly fine. But once you start hitting single track, you're going to wish you had front suspension and wider tires. And in general, I like to ride off-road because cars scare me more than anything else. So I chose a hardtail for that reason. Full suspension is not a bad choice either, but it is a little bit harder to get all of your bags on a full suspension bike. And a hardtail gives you a wider frame to put a frame bag in. It gives you clearance on the top tube for these. So ultimately it's just easier to pack a hardtail than it is to pack a full suspension. What makes this bike unique is this right here. So this is the pinion gearbox. It uses a Gates carbon belt drive instead of a chain. And all the gearing is built into this little box right here. So the idea is the gearing is more protected from the elements than a chain and cassette would be. The other advantage of this for me is that I don't have to worry about a derailleur. And particularly when I'm flying with the bike and the bike is packed into a box, I don't have to worry about the derailleur getting bent when it's in the box. I would say that's the main advantage for me because I fly with my bike all the time. But if you do any kind of adventure cycling where you're out in remote areas, a pinion gearbox is a really good idea. It does add a little bit of extra weight, but it's super valuable for its reliability. The front of the bike has a Wren fork. So this fork is a little bit different than most forks you'll see on mountain bikes. The fork is inverted, so that's much more similar to the way a dirt bike or a motorcycle would be. I find that it's really, really smooth. So on like rocky downhills, the bike just performs really, really well. This fork is definitely heavier than a more traditional fork would be, but for me, it's completely worth it. Now for my pedals, I've always ridden flat pedals. I know a lot of people like to ride clipless pedals. I just don't have clipless shoes, and frankly, I do a lot of hike-a-bike on most of my bike packing adventures. And I'm constantly on and off the bike, and I don't think it would make a whole lot of sense to have clipless pedals in that scenario. But on flatter rides where I'm not doing hike-a-bike, I'd like to experiment with them. Now, when it comes to bike packing, there really are two risks that you need to be very aware of. The first is cars. And so that's one of the reasons why I ride a mountain bike. I try and stay as far away from cars as I can. But the other is water. And so generally I like to carry a minimum of 4 liters on my bike, but I have capacity for 6. So I carry 1 bottle under the down tube right here. This is just a Nalgene 46-ounce water bottle, and this is attached to a Widefoot cargo mount. You can get these at widefoot.com. It's been super useful. It keeps the bottle really secure and allows me to mount 46 ounces below my down tube. On the seat stays on the back, I have 32 ounces of water. This is gonna be my easy access water, right? So I'm typically gonna take the water that's in here and use it to refill right here. I also will carry water in my Revelate cup holder up here. So if I wanna go for 6 total liters, this will allow me to carry like an extra 1.5 liters. And then finally, and this might be a little controversial, but I do carry water in my backpack as well. My backpack has capacity for 2.5 liters. Now, whether or not you should carry water in your backpack is dependent on the type of riding you do and whether or not you're comfortable wearing a backpack. So I've had a couple issues with carrying water in my backpack. It gets really, really heavy when there's 2.5 liters in there. And on my last ride, I got a really bad rash on my lower back from my backpack being too heavy. So it's worth it to try and get as much water on your bike as you can, and then any extra can go on your back. Now, the great advantage of having water on your back is that it's easy to access, right? So you don't have to stop your bike, take the bottle off the seat stay, drink it. You can just drink while you're riding. So I like that part of it, but ultimately it's not worth it to have a rash on my back. So on the front of the bike, this is where I keep my sleeping system and my batteries. So on top here is my Sea to Summit Etherlight XT. I cannot say enough good things about this sleeping pad. It has been fantastic. It's lightweight, it's comfortable, it hasn't popped in like 2 years. And so if you're looking for a lightweight sleeping pad that's also comfortable, check this one out. My tent is a Big Agnes Fly Creek UL. Now this tent is great because it's light, it does really well in the wind, but it is a little bit like sleeping in a coffin. It's very small. If you're claustrophobic, I wouldn't get it, but the advantage for the weight and the durability of the tent is worth it for me. Now all of this is attached to my Rogue Panda Blue Ridge handlebar mount. Now this handlebar mount is really nice. It's kind of no frills. It's pretty simple and durable. It's just 2 carbon fiber rods that are attached to the handlebars that then have some straps on them, and you can strap whatever you want to them. I used to just strap my sleeping system directly to my handlebars, but they would bounce around a little bit too much. So now I have this handlebar mount and it keeps it a lot more secure. In front, I have a Revelate handlebar pack. Now in the handlebar pack, I carry all of my batteries. And so I carry all of my batteries in the GoPro case. I learned this trick from Doozer. So I carry 3 drone batteries, 5 GoPro batteries, 3 Sony batteries, and that's pretty much it. They all fit in my GoPro case. Also on my handlebars, I carry my GoPro. So I have this nice flex clamp with the GoPro mounted on top of it. The idea here is ease of access, right? It's easy to just take the flex clamp off my handlebars and film something. I'm not super thrilled with the quality of the video that the GoPro produces. It was good maybe 3 years ago when I bought it, but I am looking at getting a new action camera. So if you have any recommendations for me, definitely let me know. I also carry a Wahoo. So this is my bike computer. This is how I navigate, right? This has been really great. It obviously tells me where I need to go. I'm not sure I would recommend it though, just because it dies kind of quick, and there are lots of other bike computers that use solar that will recharge via solar energy. And this only has about 2 days worth of battery life for me, which is kind of tedious. So I might get something that is solar powered in the future. Now at the middle of the bike, I have my Rogue Panda custom frame bag. So they built this frame bag specifically for my bike. It's a double decker, so I have 2 zippers here, and the frame bag is where pretty much all of my food goes. I keep also my pedal wrench in here, so I always carry this with me in case I have to tighten my pedals. And on top is where all my food goes. I also carry 5-hour energy. So these are kind of a hack for bike packing. I don't carry a stove, so I can't make coffee or anything like that, but these are lightweight. They have 230 milligrams of caffeine, so that's like over 2 cups of coffee. And they do a really good job of getting me awake in the morning. I also carry a tube in here. So this is a Tubelito. They say it's stronger than a regular tube. It's critical that you always carry at least 1 tube when you're riding tubeless. And on that note, these tires, these are 29 by 2.6 tires. They're Vittoria Mezcals. These have been great. They're my 2nd pair of them. I've only gotten 1 hole ever, and it was from a nail that I hit when I was on pavement. But aside from that, they've never gotten a hole. They've been great. Now, these tires are a little bit wider than I might recommend, especially for a bike that has front suspension. You don't necessarily need 29 by 2.6. I have them for a couple reasons. I tend to do rides that have a lot of sand, and 29 by 2.6 also offers a little bit more stability. And I carry my camera right here. So if I were to fall with my camera mounted on my bag like this, it would be not good. So I prefer a bike that has better stability. Now these tires are tubeless. You don't have to run tubeless. But if you're doing rides in the desert where there's lots of goat heads or thorns or anything pointy, it's just so much more convenient to have tubeless. If you hit a thorn and you get a hole, typically sealant will plug the hole and you don't have to worry about replacing the tube. So generally I'm gonna recommend tubeless. In most cases, it's better than running tubes. Now above the frame bag, I have both of my Revelate top tube bags. So in this one, I typically carry my power bank. So this is a great power bank. It will recharge my phone like 4 times. And in the back one, I carry all of my tools. And so what that typically consists of are spoke repair kit, a knife, a Leatherman, a multi-tool, tire levers, sealant. These are tubeless tire plugs, and a patch repair kit. So the patch repair kit is for, if I was running a tube, I could use this to patch the tube, but you can also use this to do things like patch your tent or patch your sleeping pad. So I always carry a patch repair kit. On the back of the bike is my 1-up dropper post. This is a new addition to my 600X. I never used to use a dropper post, and I can't tell you how much nicer it is on rugged single track to be able to move the seat down. Behind that, I have my Rogue Panda Seatpost bag. Now, this is where I carry my sleeping bag and my med kit and my towel. The great thing about the Seatpost bag is that it's dropper friendly. So I can move the dropper down and it still clears the tire just fine. Move it back up and it works. This dropper is attached to a wolf tooth valet clamp. So there's basically just this little piece of plastic that prevents the strap here from getting crunched when the dropper moves down. Now in the Seatpost bag, I carry my sleeping bag. This is my Katabatic 22-degree sleeping quilt. So this keeps me really warm at night. I do use a quilt instead of a sleeping bag. Quilt is just a little bit more comfortable than a sleeping bag would be. It's easier to roll around in. Sleeping bag is definitely necessary if you're in really cold conditions, but this performs pretty well for me. Now also in my Seatpost bag, I keep my camp towel. Super useful when you want to wash yourself in a lake. I keep my camping pillow. So this is the Sea to Summit Aeros pillow. I'm really happy with this one. It's super comfortable. And my med kit. So in my med kit, I just have like some disinfectant, some bandages, some tape, some gauze. This has been really nice when I get a cut or get a rash. Always necessary to carry a med kit. Now I do carry a backpack, and carrying a backpack is kind of controversial. I carry one for a couple reasons. It allows me to keep most of my expensive items with me when I go into stores. So I carry 3 different cameras. I don't want to leave them on my bike when I go into a store. The ease of access for water is kind of nice too. It allows me to drink really easily while I'm riding instead of having to stop and drink. But there are disadvantages to it too. For some people, it makes their butt hurt because it creates that extra weight down on the seat. And it can also give you a rash. So like I said, I had too much water in here and I had this horrible rash on my lower back. So it's something worth considering when you're planning your first bike trip. It's definitely not necessary, but for me, it's really helpful. So here's what I keep in my backpack. So I always bring with me wilderness wipes. So these are just Sea to Summit wilderness wipes. These are great because you obviously can't shower in the evening, and these kind of allow you to get clean. So I always carry like 20 of these on every trip I do. This is crotch butter. So this is really good for preventing chafes. And then I always carry my drone in my backpack. Some people will carry their drone in their frame bag. I personally don't want to do that just because when the drone is attached to me, I absorb some of the shock. I think that when it's in the frame bag, it could potentially get damaged, so I carry it in my backpack. That always goes in a soft hat like this for extra comfort. The drone I use is the DJI Mini 3 Pro. It's super lightweight, it's durable, it's gone with me all over the place, and it hasn't broken yet. I'm sure I will lose it at some point, but for now, I've gotten my money's worth. This is a chest mount for my GoPro. So this is really useful when you're riding lots of single track and you're going downhill and you obviously can't hold the GoPro and ride at the same time. So I keep the GoPro mounted right here when that's the case. And I do carry a puff jacket. This is a nice, cheap REI puff. It's crazy to me how expensive like Patagonia and Arc'teryx are. I just got the REI one and this has been great. Packs down really well and keeps me warm. Drone remote. And then these are my clothes. So I always keep pretty much all of my clothes in a Ziploc bag in my backpack. I carry one pair of long pants or like long john type things. These keep my legs warm at night. I typically bring one extra pair of underwear, sometimes two, depending on how long the ride is. This is gonna be my long sleeve, so I always sleep with this on. Two extra pairs of socks, pair of gloves, and then also this is for my ears. This is like an ear warmer. I always use this in the morning when it's super cold. And then I keep ND filters for the drone in here. So an ND filter is sort of like sunglasses for your camera. I do keep some bear spray with me typically. Obviously this probably isn't necessary, but it does give me some peace of mind when I'm alone in the wilderness. Keep my water filter with me. This is a Sawyer mini squeeze. It's pretty simple. You just fill up this pouch, attach the filter to the top, and then you squeeze the water through, comes out clean. And then this is my DOP kit. So this is where I carry my toothbrush. I carry some face sunscreen, face moisturizer. I carry all my medications in a little Advil container, and also some deodorant. I got this nice little travel size of deodorant, fits super nicely in here, and some extra Band-Aids. I also have my night light or my headlamp in this Ziploc. My rear light. This is super important when you're on the road. You need a rear light. Cars need to be able to see you. A couple of spare AAA batteries, and a zip tie or several zip ties. You never know what you might need these for, so I carry some. And lastly, I carry a spare belt in my backpack. Now the Pinion gearbox with the Gates Carbon belt drive is sold as being super durable and reliable, and it is, but occasionally these belts will break. I personally have broken one. I know several people who have broken them, and it would be a very bad situation if you were in a remote area and broke your belt and couldn't replace it. So I always carry a spare. It's like a 5-minute process to swap the belt out when it breaks. And my last critical safety item is the Garmin InReach Mini. Now this is a satellite messenger. This allows me to call for help if I was in a dire situation. Search and rescue would come get me. And it also allows me to text my mom when I get to camp at night. If I wasn't able to do that, she would probably have a stroke. So this thing I would say is an absolute necessity, not just if you ride solo, but really if you ride at all. A lot of people will ask me about safety when you do these adventures solo. And if you're in a situation in the wilderness where your bike breaks down and it's inoperable, you have to be able to call for help. And so this allows me that kind of peace of mind. And lastly, the clothing I wear. So what I have on right now is exactly what I wear on every bikepacking trip I do. So this is a Smart Wool merino wool t-shirt. Merino wool is great because it doesn't get stinky. You can wear this shirt for like 3 or 4 days and it doesn't really smell that bad. So I wear this on every trip I do. These are just some sun protection for my arms. It's really nice to not have to smear my whole body with sunscreen every day because it's really uncomfortable at night when you're trying to sleep. So covering as much skin as you can is definitely a good idea, and I would say these are a necessity for every trip I do. My shorts, these are just some basic Fox riding shorts. These are really nice because they cover below my knees. I know that it's not super cool to have shorts that go below your knees nowadays, but these protect my legs from the sun, so I love them. And lastly, my shoes. These are called 510s. I got them at REI. They're definitely not waterproof. They're not great for riding in the rain, but they're very durable and they stick to my pedals super well, so I highly recommend these shoes. And that's pretty much everything I carry. Look, it's not necessary to buy all this stuff to go out and have fun on your bike. You can get whatever bike you already have, get your backpack, and just go out and go camping. You don't need to buy all of this stuff. But if you're gonna do longer duration trips in more remote, rugged areas, it's really helpful to have good, reliable gear when you're out there. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions about any of this gear, feel free to leave a comment and I'll respond to all of them. I'll also create a list of every item that I bring, so if you want to buy any of these items, it'll be in the description below. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.